There are plenty of roguelite games that are releasing these days, and standing out becomes increasingly harder. Gatekeeper have well-developed characters when it comes to skills and gameplay, and delivers a solid experience, but struggles to stand out. It recently dropped into early access on 13th of May, and will stay in early access for about a year. There is barely any story in the game so far. You have the standard story of heroes saving the world, or in this case, the universe. You start off with 2 characters and can unlock 5 more by completing specific objectives. The characters you can play are very distinct from one another and have some interesting abilities. All the characters have 4 actions or abilities and 1 perk. A standard shoot or hit with left click. Most characters have a movement ability, and then you have 2 for damage dealing. The game structure follows a pretty standard formula, with you going from map to map, completing objectives for each map in order to proceed to the next one. They might be killing a certain amount of enemies, activating pillars, or standing in a circle for a specific time. You of course have a few bosses along the way as well. I like the bosses, they are a good challenge. They look completely different from each other and have skills and dangers to pay attention to. They are not too hard, and I wish the fight was a bit longer, but overall well-designed bosses. For the most part, the enemy design is good as well. I think there are a bit too many enemies that stand still, or enemies that just charge at you. I think there needs to be a bit more variety in the enemies, with more that shoots at you or do something more interesting. As you play, you level up and get to enhance a random stat each level. These stats vary from more HP, more attack speed, skill cooldown, and a few more. And the boosts are quite significant, with more damage being 10%, attack speed being 8% I think. And then I think at each 10th level you get to enhance one of your skills. And these are usually more than just damage as well, like bigger areas and stuff like that. And each skill can be leveled up 3 times. The final component of the gameplay is the artifacts. These can be found by searching the maps for what looks like altars. The altars come in 3 different types and will grant you different types of artifacts. You usually get to choose one of 2 random artifacts, so there is a bit of flexibility here. Then you also have forges that you can find. At these you can convert your artifacts into a specific artifact at that forge. And I think it's random which artifact will be the one you convert to at the forge. All artifacts stack as well, so you usually want to craft, because the more artifacts you have of one, the greater the chance is that the artifact will proc. So you usually have 5 to 10% chance to proc the artifact's skill. And if you have 5 or 10, there is a much greater chance the artifact's ability will proc. So you usually want to go for a few specific ones if you have the option. And some characters also prefer different types of artifacts. By playing the game you will also collect a currency. With this currency you can between runs unlock more artifacts. And from what I've seen they only get better. I think the starting artifacts are like 12 and then there's 31 more you can unlock. And as you unlock these additional artifacts, they will go into the pool of artifacts that can be randomly retrieved at the altars. So you will definitely dilute the pool of artifacts. To beg the question, is it worth to add all the artifacts? Or can you min-max this a bit and just unlock a few of the best ones and leave the ones you don't want? There doesn't seem to be a reset button here, so I'm wondering a bit how this system is meant to work. You can't out of the gate either unlock whichever artifact you want. You need to complete specific objectives for a specific set of artifacts to be unlocked. And these can be a bit trivial, like one is just to die on the first map. So I just boot up a new game and then die and I unlock a new artifact. It's a bit silly, but some are definitely harder to get. I do like the whole artifact system. It's basically what Risk of Rain 2 have. I just don't like how you unlock them. And then Gatekeeper have also gone for kind of the same look. It reminds me a lot of Risk of Rain 2. It's a very clean look and it's very easy to see what is going on at all times, which is crucial in these types of games. The gameplay is very smooth as well. I haven't had a single performance issue, and I mean on paper it's a really good experience that have been well polished, but by now it's just another roguelite game to me. It has the base components and have implemented them very well, but the game is kind of lacking everything else. Risk of Rain 2 have already been here and done this, and it was years ago now. And that game still does everything a bit better. It's hard not to compare Gatekeeper to Hades 2 or these other giant titles within the roguelike genre. And I'm sure that the team that is developing Gatekeeper is a much smaller one. But the principles that the games are built upon are still the same. Gatekeeper is just a much more stripped down version. The game is still in early access, so much will be added to the game. There is already a roadmap as well, where they have everything detailed. And they will of course add more levels, more enemies, more locations, artifacts, some new game modes. And I'm very interested in seeing the final product and see what it becomes. The game have also put a big emphasis on co-op play. The game supports 4-player co-op online, and you can set up a private lobby or have an open lobby for people to join. And I think that's great. I haven't tried it, so I don't know how well it scales. I hope it scales well. But if you like roguelites, you will have a great time with Gatekeeper, and it will scratch that roguelite itch. But the itch will come back sooner than if you played a game like Hades 2 or Risk of Rain 2. And if you have played those two roguelites, why not check out my list of upcoming roguelike games releasing this year.